The twin suns of the planet Vera hung low in the sky, casting a red glow over the broken city of Marin. Once a place filled with music and trade, it now lay quiet. The silver towers that once touched the clouds were cracked and burning. The streets were empty, covered in dust and fallen stone. The air carried the smell of metal and ash. Among the ruins walked a single human soldier. His name was Ryan. He was far from home, part of the United Earth Peace Force that had come to aid the Varans when their world was invaded by machines from beyond their star system. The machines had no faces, no voices, and no mercy. They destroyed everything that moved, seeking to erase the life on Vera completely. Ryan had been part of a team of 12, but now he was the last one standing. His armor was cracked, his right arm was burnt, and his oxygen supply was almost gone. Yet he kept walking, his steps steady and his eyes focused. Somewhere in the city was Princess Lyrae, the only daughter of Queen Erythia, ruler of Vera. If the princess was lost, the people would lose all hope. He moved through the wreckage of a fallen tower, hearing the faint hum of energy from the enemy's machines in the distance. The sound made his heart beat faster, but he did not stop. His mission was clear: find the princess and keep her alive. A soft voice called from nearby, weak and frightened. "Help, please." Ryan followed the sound and found a small group of Varan guards lying near a broken shuttle. Their armor was burned, and their leader, a tall woman with blue skin and silver eyes, struggled to stand. She looked at him with surprise. "A human? You are still alive? Where is the princess?" Ryan asked quickly. The guard pointed toward a collapsed hall behind her. "Inside. She is trapped." Ryan did not wait. He pushed through the broken metal and entered the hall. The light inside flickered weakly. The walls were painted with ancient Varan art, now covered in dust. In the center of the room, under a pile of debris, he saw the princess. She was young, with golden markings on her face and long silver hair that glowed faintly even in the darkness. Her legs were trapped under a large beam. She looked up at him with wide, tearful eyes. "Please, I cannot move." Ryan dropped his rifle and hurried to her side. His hands shook as he lifted the beam. His armor creaked from the strain, but he did not stop. Slowly he freed her. She gasped in relief. "Thank you," he smiled faintly. "You can thank me when we are both safe. Can you walk?" She tried to stand but winced in pain. "I think so." "Yes, but slowly." He helped her up and looked toward the sky. The air above shimmered as a swarm of enemy drones appeared, moving toward the city. Their bodies glowed with red light as they scanned for life signs. Ryan's communicator buzzed faintly. The signal from his command ship came through with static. "Human Unit Ryan. Retreat impossible. Enemy advancing. Evacuation ship destroyed. Protect the princess at all costs." Ryan shut off the channel and looked at the princess. "We have to move." They walked through the ruins, taking shelter behind walls and broken towers. The princess tried to stay calm, but her heart raced. "Why did your people come to help us?" she asked softly. Ryan smiled. "Because that is what humans do. When someone needs help, we try to give it." She looked at him with wonder. "Even if it means dying?" "Especially then," he said quietly. They reached the center of the city where an old power core stood. It was one of the ancient Varan structures that provided energy to the whole region. The machines were closing in fast, their red lights shining through the mist. Ryan knew they could not fight them all. His armor sensors showed hundreds of them surrounding the area. He turned to the princess. "Is there a safe place below this city? A bunker, anything?" She nodded weakly. "There is a royal chamber under the core, but it can only be opened by the Queen's code." Ryan thought quickly. He could not reach the Queen. The communication lines were all gone. Then he saw the control panel on the side of the core. It was damaged, but still active. The power levels were unstable. If it was overloaded, it could destroy everything in a large radius. It could stop the machines, but it would also mean death for anyone nearby. He looked at the princess. She noticed his expression and shook her head. "No, you cannot. There must be another way." He took her hand gently. "Sometimes there is no other way. I promise to keep you safe, and I will." Tears filled her eyes. "You will die," he smiled softly. "Maybe, but if you live, then it is worth it." She clutched his hand tightly. "Please, do not do this." He slowly pulled away. "You must go to the bunker and stay there. When this is over, tell your people that a human kept his word." The princess fell to her knees. "I cannot leave you." Ryan placed his hand on her shoulder. "You must. You are their hope." He guided her toward the hidden passage under the core. She looked back once before disappearing down the stairway. Ryan turned back to the control panel. His hands moved quickly, pressing buttons and rerouting energy lines. The hum of the core grew louder as bright blue light filled the chamber. Outside, the machines entered the plaza. Their red eyes locked on him. Ryan felt fear rise inside him, but he pushed it down. He thought of his home, of Earth's green forests and blue skies. He thought of his family, of all the people who believed humans could make a difference among the stars. He spoke softly to himself. If this is the end, then let it mean something. The control screen blinked a warning. Core overload imminent. He took one last breath and activated the sequence. A deep rumble shook the ground. The machine stopped moving, sensing the energy spike. A bright light filled the sky. Inside the bunker, the princess covered her ears and cried out as the world above roared. When the light faded, the city was silent. The machines were gone. The once burning towers now stood quiet. The air was still. The princess opened the bunker door and stepped out. The ground was warm under her feet. She looked around, searching for any sign of the human who had saved her. She found only his helmet lying near the shattered remains of the power core. She picked it up and held it to her chest. Her tears fell onto the metal. He gave his life for me, she whispered. A human saved a world that was not his own. Far above, the sky began to clear. The twin suns rose higher, their light shining over the ruins. It was a new day for Vera. The machines were gone and the people would rebuild. But the story of the human soldier named Ryan would be remembered for generations. In the palace far from the battlefield, Queen Arithia stood by the window of her tower. Her advisors had told her what happened. Her daughter had survived, but the human who saved her was gone. The queen's heart ached with sorrow. She had never met Ryan, but she felt as though she had lost someone dear. She looked out at the horizon, where a thin trail of smoke rose from the city, and whispered softly to the wind, "He will not be forgotten." The wind carried her words across the valley, through the silent hills and across the river that once sparkled under the twin suns. The name of Ryan would soon become a legend, told by mothers to their children, by teachers to their students, and by soldiers who looked to the stars for courage. The people of Vera learned something that day, something no weapon or machine could ever teach. They learned that strength is not only in power or technology, but in the heart that chooses to protect others even when there is nothing to gain. And though Ryan's body was gone, his spirit remained in every corner of that world, whispering through the wind, shining in the twin suns, reminding them that humanity's light could reach even the farthest stars. The news of the great explosion reached the royal palace of Vera within hours. The silver halls that once echoed with music now stood quiet. Soldiers and messengers moved quickly through the corridors, carrying reports from the ruined city of Marin. Every word they spoke carried both sorrow and hope. Queen Arithia sat upon her high seat in the throne room, her long robe flowing like liquid silver around her. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed deep pain. She had ruled Vera for many years and had seen war before, but never had she felt such a strange weight upon her heart. Her daughter, Princess Lyrae, had returned only an hour earlier. The young princess sat beside her mother, still weak and pale. Her hands shook as she held a small metal helmet close to her chest. It was cracked and blackened, the last thing that remained of the human soldier named Ryan. The queen placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You are safe now, my child. That is what matters most." Tears filled Lyrae's eyes. "No, mother. It is not enough. He gave his life for me. He could have run away, but he did not. He stayed." Arithia looked at the helmet and felt a chill move through her. The humans had been allies, yes, but few among them had come to Vera. Most of the aid from Earth had been ships and machines. Ryan was one of the few who had fought beside Verans on the ground. She had heard reports of his bravery, but she had never expected him to give his life for her child. A royal advisor, a tall man with green markings on his forehead, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the machines have been destroyed." Their control network collapsed after the explosion. "The threat has ended." The queen nodded slowly. "At what cost?" "Many soldiers have fallen," he said quietly. "But the city can be rebuilt. The land will heal." Her gaze moved to the princess, who had lowered her head. The queen spoke again, her voice calm but firm. "And the human soldier?" The advisor hesitated. "There is nothing left, Majesty. Only traces of his armor. The energy of the core was too strong. The words made Lyre cry harder. He cannot be gone. He saved me. I saw the light, but I felt something. I felt that he was still there, even after everything went quiet. Arythea watched her daughter carefully. The princess's words stirred something deep inside her. For reasons she could not explain, she also believed the human story was not finished. There was a strange pull in her heart, a whisper that told her his spirit had not yet left Vera. The queen stood and faced her council. Send a research team to the city at once. I want every trace of human life from that battlefield collected. Every fragment of his armor, every drop of matter, every trace of energy. Bring it to the science division. Her advisor looked startled. Majesty, the core explosion erased everything in that area. There is nothing to recover. Do as I command. Arythea said firmly. If there is even a single breath of his left in that soil, I want it found. The advisor bowed and hurried away. Lyre looked at her mother with wide eyes. You think he could still be alive? The queen did not answer at once. She walked toward the tall windows that opened to the shining plains below the palace. The twin suns hung above the horizon, painting the sky with red and gold. Life is more than breath, my child, she said softly. Sometimes it lingers where courage has been shown. Sometimes it waits for someone to call it back. The next morning, the royal scientists and soldiers arrived at the ruins of Marin. The city was silent and empty, its towers turned to gray stone. They searched for 2 days, digging through ash and metal. On the third day, one of them found something, a faint trace of energy deep below the crater where the power core had exploded. When the queen heard the news, she traveled there herself. The guards begged her not to go, saying it was dangerous, but she refused to listen. She stepped onto the blackened ground and looked around. The air still shimmered faintly with blue sparks from the old energy field. The lead scientist, an old man named Torin, bowed before her. Your Majesty, we found this. He held a small sphere of glass-like material. Inside it glowed a dim light, pulsing slowly as if it were alive. What is it? She asked. We believe it is a fragment of the human's core suit, Torin said, but there is something else within it. It carries a biological trace, human DNA, but preserved by the energy field. It should have been destroyed, yet it remains stable. Arythea held the sphere carefully. It was warm against her hand. As she looked closer, she saw something remarkable. Inside the light, faint patterns appeared, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Her voice grew quiet. He is still here. The scientist frowned. Majesty, even if his genetic material survived, there is no way to restore life from it. We do not possess such power. The queen turned to him. Then we will learn. She returned to the palace that evening, carrying the sphere herself. She took it to the central laboratory, where the greatest minds of Vera studied life and energy. The scientists argued that reviving a human from fragments was impossible, but the queen's will was absolute. She gave one order: you will bring him back. Days turned into weeks. The laboratories glowed with blue light as experiments continued. The princess visited often, watching the scientists work. She spoke softly to the sphere whenever she was alone. You saved me. You must wake up. Please come back. One night, after many failed attempts, the queen entered the lab alone. The scientists had left exhausted. The sphere sat on the table, still glowing weakly. Arythea placed her hand upon it. Human soldier, she said quietly, you gave your life for what you did not know. You protected my child without question. If any force in this universe can answer such honor, it will be mine. She touched a panel on the table. A stream of energy flowed from the room's core into the sphere. The light inside grew brighter, swirling like a living flame. The air hummed. The queen stepped back, her heart pounding. The sphere cracked open and a wave of light spread across the room. Within it formed a faint outline, a body suspended in air, half seen, half energy. The features were still unclear, but the shape was human. When the light faded, the scientists rushed in, their eyes wide with disbelief. Majesty, it lives, Torin said in awe. His cells are active. The energy has rebuilt part of his structure, but his state is unstable. He is not entirely human anymore. The queen looked at the glowing figure that floated in the chamber. His face was calm, peaceful, and familiar.
His name is Ryan, she said softly. The scientists began to work carefully, stabilizing the form.
Over the next few days, they managed to preserve his body within a crystal chamber filled with living energy. He did not wake, but his heart beat slowly, steady and strong. When the queen told the princess, Lyrae's eyes filled with tears again, this time of joy. "He lives, mother. You brought him back." Arythea smiled faintly. "No, my child. His own will brought him back. We only helped him find the way." But deep inside she knew it was more than that. Something bound his life to Vera itself now. She could feel his presence like a quiet song that echoed in her heart. She often went to the chamber at night and watched over him. His body was human, but traces of Veran light flowed through his veins. He was both human and something new, a bridge between two worlds. One evening, as she stood beside the glowing chamber, the princess asked softly, "Will he wake?" The queen looked at the faint light that pulsed around him. "When he is ready. Life cannot be rushed. It returns in its own time." She placed her hand on the crystal, and for a moment the faintest movement came from within. Rian's fingers twitched. The queen's breath caught. "He heard us," she whispered. The princess smiled, her eyes bright with hope. "Then he will live." Arythea looked upon the sleeping soldier and felt something she had not felt in many years, a deep sense of gratitude and awe. This human had changed the destiny of her world. Now she would make sure his own destiny was not forgotten. She turned to her scientists and gave her final order for the night. "Keep him alive no matter what it takes. Until he opens his eyes, this world will not rest." Outside, the twin sons of Vera rose again, their light falling gently upon the palace towers. In the heart of that palace, within a room filled with blue light, the human who had given his life began to dream once more. Ryan's eyes opened slowly. The first thing he noticed was the soft glow of blue light all around him. It was brighter than any sun he had ever seen. He tried to move, but something felt strange. His arms and legs obeyed, but they felt heavier, stronger, and lighter all at once. He opened his mouth to speak, but only a faint sound came out. For a moment he panicked. He remembered the explosion at Marin, the fire, the heat, and then the silence. His last thoughts had been about Princess Lyrae, about saving her. And now he was awake. Somehow he had survived. A soft voice echoed in the room. "You are awake," it said gently. Ryan looked up. A tall figure in flowing silver robes stood before him. Her eyes shone with a deep light. "Queen Arythea." He wanted to speak, to ask her how this was possible, but his voice failed. "You are not fully human anymore," she said softly, as if reading his thoughts. "The energy of your sacrifice, combined with our technology, restored your body, but it changed you. You are stronger, faster, and more aware than any human should be. Your life is now bound to Vera itself." Rian tried to sit up fully. His movements were careful and he felt no pain, only a strange new sense of strength. He touched his chest, feeling the rhythm of his heartbeat steady and strong. I am alive?" His voice was weak but clear. "Yes," Arythea replied. "And you must understand something. You are not just a soldier now. You are a symbol. Your courage gave hope to my people, and your presence here will continue to protect them. But your life is no longer entirely your own." Ryan tried to understand. I saved the princess. That was my choice. Why am I not free?" Arythea's eyes softened. "Because your life is tied to Vera. If you leave this planet, your body will not survive. If you sever the connection, you will die. But you did not just save the princess. You reminded us all that life is precious, that courage can overcome fear. For that, we cannot allow you to vanish." Rian felt a mix of gratitude and fear. He had wanted only to help, to protect the princess. He had never imagined that his actions would bind him to an entire world. "Do I belong to you now?" he asked quietly. Arythea shook her head. "You belong to yourself. You belong to the courage you showed. But your life is now part of Vera. That is why I cannot let you leave, not until we understand the full extent of what you have become." He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to process this. Part of him felt anger. He had given his life freely, and now someone else, an alien queen, told him he could not leave. But another part of him felt pride. He had saved the princess. He had given hope to a world. A soft step approached. Princess Lyrae entered the room. She had recovered from her injuries, though her steps were careful. She knelt beside Ryan and took his hand. Her touch was gentle. "You are awake," she whispered. "I was afraid you never would be. I am," Ryan said, his voice gaining strength. "But I am different." "You are still you," she said firmly. "And that is what matters. The queen watched the two of them, her hands folded calmly. Rian, the process that restored you cannot be undone, but we will study it. We will learn from it. You have become a bridge between human and Veyran life. That is something that has never happened before. Rian sat quietly for a moment, feeling the pulse of life within him. He realized that his senses were sharper. He could hear faint sounds from the corridors outside the chamber. He could feel the energy of the palace beneath him, like the heartbeat of the building itself. And most surprisingly, he felt a warmth inside him, a connection to Vera, to the queen, and to the princess. "Can I walk?" he asked, testing his strength. "Yes," Arithia said, "but slowly. Your body must adjust to the changes." He swung his legs over the edge of the chamber and stood. The ground beneath him felt solid yet alive. He walked to the door and opened it. Light spilled into the corridor, illuminating the smooth silver walls. It was beautiful, unlike any place he had ever seen. Lyrae followed him, her hand still in his. She smiled, a mixture of relief and awe on her face. "You look..." "Well," she said softly, "you look stronger than before." "I feel..." "Strange," Rian admitted. "I can feel things I did not feel before. The world, the air, even the palace itself." The queen's voice came behind them. "That is because part of your life is now connected to Vera. You sense the energy that surrounds us all. It is a gift, but it is also a responsibility." Rian stopped walking and turned to face her. "I do not want to be a prisoner, Queen Arithia. I gave my life freely. I should be able to live freely too." The queen studied him carefully. "Freedom is not taken lightly, Rian. You chose to give your life for another. That choice created this connection. It is not punishment. It is recognition. You are alive because of what you did, and your life is now a living reminder of courage and honor." Ryan's eyes fell to the ground. He understood her words, yet a small part of him still rebelled. He had never fought for recognition or fame. He had acted because it was right. And now he realized that what he had done had changed not only Vera but also himself. The princess knelt beside him again. "Ryan, you saved me. You saved my people, and now you are here with us. That is more than anyone could hope for. Please do not be afraid of what has changed. You are still the same person I trust." Her words comforted him. Slowly, he took a deep breath. He felt the warmth of the energy inside him and realized that he was no longer alone. He was alive, and though his life had changed, it had purpose. Days passed, and Ryan learned to move and act with his new strength. He trained with the palace guards, not as a soldier, but as a teacher. He showed them techniques of courage and focus, of trust and calm in the face of danger. His presence inspired the people of Vera. Young warriors who had lost hope found new confidence in their abilities. Ryan also learned to speak the Veyran language fluently. His mind worked faster now, and he could understand their ways and culture in ways humans rarely could. Princess Lyrae spent long hours with him, telling him stories of Vera's past, teaching him about their history, their music, and their customs. He listened with fascination, learning more each day. Yet at night, when the palace was quiet, Ryan often felt a strange sadness. He remembered his home on Earth, his family, and the life he had once known. He wondered if he would ever see his home again. The queen noticed his moments of silence and placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "You are part of something greater now," she said softly. "You were chosen not because you were human, but because you acted with a courage that transcends worlds. That is why you cannot leave yet. Your presence is a living example to my people. You are more than a soldier, Ryan. You are a teacher, a guardian, and a reminder of hope." He looked into her eyes and nodded slowly. He understood her reasoning, yet he also understood his own limits. He had given everything once, and now he had been given a second chance. He realized that he could choose to use this gift for something greater than himself. One evening, as the twin suns set over the horizon, Ryan stood on the balcony of the palace. The wind brushed against his face, carrying the scent of the silver fields below. Princess Lyrae joined him, standing quietly beside him. "Do you miss your world?" she asked softly. He nodded. "I do, but I also see a world here that needs me. And I have learned that courage and honor can cross any distance, even between stars." She smiled faintly. "Then you are home in a way." Ryan took a deep breath and looked at the horizon. The machines were gone and Vera was safe. He had been given a second chance. And though it came with a price, he understood that some choices were worth more than freedom itself. The Queen's words returned to him. You are alive because of what you did, and your life is now a living reminder of courage and honor. He smiled softly to himself. Perhaps this was not a prison. Perhaps it was a new beginning. And so Rian began his new life, walking a path between human and Varen, between past and future. He was a bridge between worlds, a guardian of hope, and a reminder that true courage never dies. Weeks had passed since Rian had awakened. The palace of Vera was alive with energy and hope, yet he often felt the quiet weight of his new life. Each day brought a mixture of training, study, and learning the ways of this alien world. He taught the palace guards about strategy, courage, and trust, and in return they shared with him the secrets of Veyran culture. Princess Lyrae was his constant companion. She had recovered fully from her injuries, though she carried the memory of the battle in her eyes. Together they walked the palace gardens, listened to the whispers of the wind across the silver fields, and spoke of everything from the stars to the simplest pleasures of life. Yet, despite these moments of calm, a shadow lingered over Rian's heart. The truth of his condition was unavoidable. His life had been restored through alien science and energy that connected him to Vera itself. He was alive, but only because the planet's life force flowed within him. If he left, that connection would be broken and he would die. One evening, as the twin suns dipped low and painted the sky in shades of red and gold, Rian sat in the quiet of the royal library. The room was filled with books, crystal tablets, and the soft hum of energy flowing through the palace. He traced his fingers across the ancient texts, reading of battles and rulers long gone, of worlds saved and lost. Yet in the midst of these stories he felt the tug of his own humanity. Queen Arithia entered quietly, her silver robes brushing the floor. She did not startle him, for he had grown accustomed to her presence. She stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the twin suns outside. You are troubled, she said softly. Rian looked up. I feel like I am living someone else's life. I wanted only to save the princess, to give her a chance. I did not ask for this. I did not ask to be tied to a world. Arithia sat across from him, her hands folded calmly. And yet you are here, alive, learning, teaching, protecting. You did not choose the power that restored you, but you chose courage when it mattered most. That choice brought you here. I understand that, Rian admitted. But I cannot shake the feeling that I am trapped, that I am not free. The Queen nodded slowly. Freedom is more than movement. It is choice. You have a choice, Rian. You can stay and accept the connection to Vera, or you can try to leave. But I warn you, the cost of leaving is your life. Rian's breath caught. He had considered this possibility, of course. But hearing it spoken aloud made the weight heavier. And if I choose to stay? Then you will live, she said. And you will continue to inspire my people. You will teach them that courage and honor exist not only in humans but in anyone who chooses to act rightly, even at great risk. He looked down at his hands, still glowing faintly from the energy within him. I do not know if I can make that choice easily. I never wanted this. I wanted only to protect one person, and now I am part of a planet. The Queen's eyes softened. Rian, it is not about what you wanted. It is about what you did. That choice changed everything. You must decide whether to live for yourself or to live for something greater. Rian leaned back, closing his eyes. He thought of Princess Lyrae, of the people who had survived the invasion, of the hope that now burned brightly across Vera. He thought of Earth, his home, and of the life he had left behind. The door to the library opened quietly, and Lyrae stepped inside. She moved toward him and knelt beside his chair. Rian, she said softly, do not let fear guide your decision. You saved my life once. Now you must save yourself. Whatever you choose, I will support you. Her words reached him in a way the Queen's could not. They were simple, honest, full of trust. He felt the warmth of her hand on his own, and for the first time in days he felt calm. I do not want to leave, he said finally, but I do not know if I can stay here knowing I cannot return home. You have always acted with courage, Lyrae said. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite fear. This is your choice now. Rian nodded slowly. I need time to understand what it means to live like this, to be part of something bigger than myself. Queen Arithia rose and approached him. She placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. Time will reveal the path, Rian. For now, rest. Learn. Feel the life that flows through you. You are alive, and that is a gift. Gifts are not always easy to carry, but they are always meaningful. In the days that followed, Ryan explored the palace and its surroundings more deeply. He walked through the gardens, noticing details he had never seen before. The delicate silver petals of the flowers, the way the sunlight danced across the streams, the quiet hum of energy that seemed to connect everything. He visited the training halls, helping young warriors hone their skills. They looked to him not only for instruction but for courage and guidance. Each day he felt the energy within him strengthen. He could move with greater speed, hear whispers of distant sounds, and sense the emotions of those nearby. At first it unsettled him, but gradually he began to understand it as part of his new life. One afternoon, Princess Lyrae approached him with a small device in her hand. "I found this in the palace archives," she said. "It is said to amplify life energy. Perhaps it can help you understand your connection to Vera." Ryan took it carefully and examined the device. As he activated it, a soft glow surrounded him, and he felt the energy within him respond. It pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, strong and steady. For the first time, he felt fully connected, fully aware of the life force around him. He looked at Lyrae with amazement. This feels incredible. I can feel the planet itself. I can feel life, energy, hope, all of it flowing through me." She smiled warmly. "Then you are truly alive, Ryan. Not just alive, but part of something extraordinary. Do you see now why the Queen could not let you go?" He nodded slowly. The realization settled in his heart. He was not trapped. He was chosen. He was part of a world that needed him, and he had the chance to make a difference beyond what he had ever imagined. But even with this understanding, there remained a difficult truth. He could never leave Vera. His heart ached at the thought of never returning to Earth, never seeing his family, never walking the familiar fields of his home. That loss was real, and he could not deny it. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of deep orange, he found himself standing on the palace balcony. Queen Arithia joined him silently. Together they watched the horizon, the air filled with the gentle hum of energy and the distant sounds of Veran life. "Have you made your choice, Ryan?" she asked quietly. He shook his head. "Not yet. I know what I must do, but it is difficult. I understand now that I can live here and make a difference. But part of me will always belong to Earth." The Queen nodded. "That is natural. We do not ask you to forget your home. We ask only that you live fully here and now. You have a chance to teach, to guide, to inspire. You have a chance to show what humanity can achieve when courage and honor guide its actions." Ryan took a deep breath and felt the energy inside him pulse. It was warm, steady, and alive. He turned to her. "Then I choose to live. To live for Vera. Not because I have no choice, but because it is right. Because I can make a difference here, just as I tried to make a difference there." Arithia smiled softly. "Then you have chosen wisely. Life is not measured by freedom alone. It is measured by what we do with the time we are given." Later that night, he found Princess Lyrae in the palace gardens. The moonlight shone on her silver hair, and her eyes reflected the glow of the twin moons above. "I have made my choice," he said quietly. "I will stay. I will live for this world, for its people, and for you. I will honor what I did, not with regret, but with action." She reached for his hand and held it tightly. "Then we are together, Ryan. Together we will face whatever comes." He looked at her and smiled. The ache in his heart remained, but it was softened by purpose. For the first time since the explosion at Marin, he felt fully alive. He was no longer only a human soldier who had given his life to save a princess. He was a guardian, a teacher, a bridge between two worlds. He had made a choice to live, and in that choice he had found meaning. The twin moons rose high, casting their silver light across the palace. Ryan stood tall, feeling the pulse of Vera within him. The night was quiet, but it was filled with life. And for the first time he understood that true courage was not just about sacrifice. It was about choosing to live fully, even when the path is uncertain.